Now, a Western Mass News special presentation. Surprise Squad. Moments to Remember. Sponsored by the Western Mass Hyundai dealers.
Welcome to our special Surprise Squad Moments to Remember. I'm Jordan McCool, and over the past year, the Western Mass Hyundai dealers and the Western Mass News Surprise Squad have teamed up to provide a helping hand across the region. Now today, we're going to take a look back at some of our favorite stories during that time, and we can't reflect on those stories without those who helped make it all possible and all happen. We're joined today in our Western Mass News studio by the Western Mass Hyundai dealers, Gary Rome from Gary Rome Hyundai, Carla Kazenzi from Country Hyundai, and Brian Hauser from Belize Hyundai. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Okay, so more from them shortly, but our first moment to remember comes from a story that was recently honored by the Massachusetts Broadcasters Association. So last winter, the Surprise Squad paying a visit to a teen recovering from a recent heart transplant.
This is Devin Jones, a typical 14-year-old boy who loves basketball, football, hockey, and of course, video games. Western Mass News first introduced you to him at the beginning of November in the midst of his battle for his life. To remind you, 1 week he was perfectly healthy, enjoying fall activities with his family. And the next, he was being transported to Boston Children's Hospital with the fear that something was wrong with his heart.
I had a cough and that's really it. And then it started to get worse.
What they thought might just be the flu or even COVID turned into a diagnosis of cardiomyopathy, a disease of the heart that makes it difficult to pump blood through your body.
He had never had any heart problems at all. When they had told me it was his heart, I was in shock. I'm like, he's always been completely healthy. And they kept asking me. I'm like, no, he's been fine. Like, I have no idea.
After multiple surgeries and attempts to help his heart recover, it became clear a transplant was the only option.
They basically told me if he did not have this heart, he was not going to live.
Luckily, due to his size and age, he did qualify for either a children's or adult heart and was put at the top of the waiting list. Within a few days, they received the call they had been praying for. Devin matched with the donor and would be getting a new heart. The surgery went well, and Devin's condition steadily improved. But considering he was in a medically induced coma for nearly a month prior, doctors warned that the road to recovery would be long.
Oh, it's gonna be hard to recover, but I'm getting through it. And I'm not gonna be able to play as much as I used to, but I'll find ways to have fun.
After over 2 months in Boston making steady improvements, Devin was finally allowed to return home to West Springfield on Christmas Eve, where he continues to gain strength every day.
It's so good to meet you in person. How are you doing?
He even felt strong enough to meet the Western Mass News Surprise Squad in person.
We're here to tell an awesome story about you. A nice follow-up here to everything that's been going on.
We've seen people just be so invested in your story. What's that like?
It's like really overwhelming, but in a good way. It's really nice to have know that I have support behind me.
Little did he know the real reason the cameras were rolling.
So Devin, we've been talking here in the back, talking about your story, but now we want you to kind of just peek over here. The Western Mass News Surprise Squad has selected you, and we got some goodies to show you. Congratulations.
Surprise!
From even more Bruins gear to a new gaming system.
This might be something to keep you occupied on those days where you're home and maybe waiting for your brother to get back from school.
Yeah.
That's the face of an excited young man.
Is that pretty cool? You heard of that thing?
Thanks to the Hyundai dealers of Western Mass, the surprises kept coming.
Then there's still more in the bag. You gotta keep digging.
Keep digging, man. Keep digging.
Awesome. Wish we didn't have masks on so you could see it.
I know, right? Well, we can tell. We can see your eyes squinting up. Yeah, we can tell.
It's the least we could all do for you after everything you've been through. We just wanted to let you know that we and the community are behind you 100%. We're so happy that you are home.
And on top of all that, Hyundai also gave their family an additional $500 to help with the family's expenses that have been piling up.
Devin, on behalf of the Western Mass Hyundai dealers, congratulations, welcome home, and we wish you all the best.
Devin, I mean, the courage that you had through this is just unbelievable.
We were really touched by your story. We just want to tell you welcome home, and we hope all of this fun stuff makes your time at home better.
As far as Devin's next stage of recovery, he looks forward to finally being able to head back to school, see his friends, and and when cleared by his doctors, play sports. In West Springfield, we're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
Incredible story, and that story aired just under a year ago. We actually reached out to Devin's family ahead of this look back to see just how he was doing. And the answer is he's doing very well. His mom telling us his one-year checkup on the new heart went great. Shea went on to say Devin is back in school in 9th grade at West Springfield High School and again is doing great. It's awesome to see. We turn now to the story selected by our Western Mass Hyundai dealers. So we go back to December of 2020, a local business owner putting her own troubles aside to focus on her community. Carla, this was your favorite story. Why?
Well, first of all, it was extremely relatable as being a small business owner, suffering from the closures of COVID, being very involved in the community, and the impact that Arielle had on Limelight Dance Studio. And when you saw her come out and her students and the influence that she's had on them was just really heart touch. You couldn't help but have it touch your heart.
Oh, you know, absolutely. And it was actually one of my favorites too. Let's take a look back.
I love this community. I love this small town. I feel like people really do help one another.
Meet Arielle Lask. She's the owner of Limelight Dance Center in Ware.
We call ourselves like the Limelight Dance Center family.
Born and raised in Ware, she's invested in the community and passionate about giving back.
If I can't set that example for my students, then I'm not doing a good job as a dance teacher or as a member of this community.
Support this year is no doubt needed more than any other year. That's why Arielle started a toy drive.
It absolutely blew up. People from all over the community gathered together, donating toys, donating money.
With all the money and donations, Lask has been able to provide Christmas toys to kids in need, providing toys, clothes, dance gear, and more. Something her dance studio family recognized.
I'm so grateful to have such an amazing boss who's even such a better person. And she just does so many amazing things, not only for our dance studio, but for the community of Ware and the surrounding communities.
If you had the ability to do more, would you be able to?
Absolutely. I mean, I already have 5 children on the wait list that have just reached out saying, if you do have any more donations, we are definitely in need.
And that's where we come in. After hearing her story together with the Hyundai dealers of Western Mass, we decided to make her toy drive even bigger.
I nominated Arielle because she just has such a big heart for the community that she was born and raised in, owns her own business in. And even though her business was closed for 5 months because of the pandemic, she's still putting other people before her during the holidays.
So the surprise squad went on a shopping spree, filling 2 carts full of toys for the boys and girls of Ware.
Art said.
This is going to be sick.
And while we stalled Arielle upstairs, the rest of the squad, with the help of her dance studio family, was outside setting up for the big reveal. Arielle had no idea the real reason we were there, but she would soon find out.
Oh my God. So we kind of fibbed to you. Oh my God. We're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
Arielle walked outside her studio and found a table of Christmas toys and members of her dance studio waiting to help with the surprise.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. I'm literally in shock.
The kids of Ware should be pretty set up. Hyundai dealers of Western Mass, we just made a surprise in this one. You see that reaction? Is that what it's all about?
That was amazing. We're so glad that we can make a difference. So on behalf of the Western Mass Hyundai dealers, we're going to recognize you, Arielle, for all that you do. You're amazing, and we're glad that we could help you make sure that everyone has Christmas gifts under the tree this year.
In addition to the toys, the Western Mass Hyundai dealers gave Arielle a $500 check to help even more families.
Thank you so much for all that you've done to make a difference in so many people's lives.
A true hero in the community, and not even the pandemic can ruin her mission of making this holiday season better one toy at a time. In Ware, we're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
That is still one of my favorite surprises to date, and her reaction to Carla. Your thoughts looking back on this now?
Well, it's people like Arielle that make such a difference and have such an impact on the communities that they live in, and the way that she influences the young kids in her dance studio to grow up and be able to make such a change like she's made, especially right around the holiday season that we're talking about. Her impact is so special.
No, absolutely perfect for the holiday season. Okay, well, we have plenty still to come here on Surprise Squad Moments to Remember. We heard from Carla. Next up, Brian and Gary will share their favorite stories from the past year. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Surprise Squad Moments to Remember. We're joined by the Western Mass Hyundai dealers as we reflect on some of the big Surprise Squad stories we had over the past year. A lot to look back on, and we'll continue now with our next story. And for our next story, we bring in Brian Hauser, the story an ICU nurse who was in the early days of the pandemic, went to great lengths to protect her family from COVID-19. Brian, why was this your favorite story?
Autumn's story was my favorite because she really gave an insight of what nurses were dealing with, the sacrifices they had to make. Every day their jobs were so stressful, and then to have to come home and be lonely in a trailer really goes to show the dedication she has for her job, so that we shouldn't affect any of her family members.
And you can really hear that in this story, so let's take a look back.
I lived in my camper when it first happened because it was just, you couldn't figure it out. You know, it was just, how do I not bring this home?
Meet Autumn Nealon, an ICU nurse at Bay State Medical Center. This was her home for several weeks at the height of the pandemic.
There was no option.
Early on, the Bay State nurse bought a camper and parked it alongside her Westfield house to distance herself from those she loved.
We would visit outside, but maintaining a ample space between the two.
She says all to protect her family from what she was facing every day at work.
It's just awful what we have to see at work and what we have to do at work and hold people's hands. Oh my goodness, this is awful. I'm sorry. When they're alone, when their families can't be with them, there's just a lot of stuff that I don't share with my family because it's just so awful.
Facing this pandemic head on and making the ultimate sacrifice for her loved ones.
I get emotional about it because it's just so hard. Sorry. It was just so hard trying to live life safely.
She's since been vaccinated and is back in her home.
Knowing the vaccine was coming, it's just a relief.
But the emotions are still there as the pandemic is still very evident in the hospital and community.
I just want to go to work and be normal. We see awful every day. This is just a different level of awful.
Even through the tears, Autumn has a positive outlook on the situation, telling Western Mass News all about her love for camping as she looks forward to summer trips with her family.
Everybody just is able to have fun, and it's just, life is a little bit more relaxing when you're camping.
Autumn thought that we were just there to talk about her experience throughout the pandemic and the vaccines, but the Surprise Squad and Western Mass Hyundai dealers had other plans.
Nurses, I don't think get enough credit for what they're dealing with every single day.
I'm so thrilled with what they're doing and the commitment and especially the sacrifice that Autumn made for her and her family just to keep them safe.
There's a whole lot of people here. Surprise! We are the Western Mass News Surprise Squad, Autumn, here to surprise you. We heard you're big camping fans, so we got you all sorts of goodies here and for all the hard work you do.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We just wanted to just show our appreciation for all that you've done. We know that you lived in your camper, and of course you're not living in your camper anymore, but here's hoping the next time you do go out on a trip, it'll be more memorable and fun.
Autumn is all set for her next camping trip with a fire pit, chairs, s'mores, supplies, and a whole lot more.
On behalf of the Western Mass Hyundai dealers, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. We really, really, really appreciate your commitment and all you do to keep us safe every day.
I'm going to use that money towards a nice party.
Good, you deserve it. Thank you.
For all the people I work with, and we're just going to have a relaxing time.
Her family and friends were there to celebrate the surprise with us, shedding light on the person she is.
From everything that she's been doing and helping, I was really proud of her, and that's why I nominated her. She's been through a lot, and she's done a lot for a lot of people, and she's loved by everybody.
Thank you so much. This is so thoughtful and it's so appreciative. And like I said, I don't do anything different than every single person that works with me.
A humble hero who, no doubt, has made a difference in this fight against this pandemic. In Westfield, we're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
Definitely a humble hero. Brian, your thoughts looking back on this now?
Well, first off, I hope Autumn got a chance to enjoy that camper in the woods with everything we supplied to her. And it really shows her character, because the first thing she said when we gave her that check is she wants to celebrate with all of her other coworkers, to have a nice party to relieve some of the stress that they were all dealing with at the hospital.
Right, just continuing to give back to those in need after everything that she's even gone through. So just another great story. And next, Gary Rome joins us now for our next story. A group of grateful parents reaching out, looking to recognize the staff at the St. Stanislaus School in Chicopee, where in-person learning has been the norm for much of the pandemic. Gary, why did you pick this story? What stood out to you?
Well, I was so impressed with the way they represented. They had 150 students there, and Sister Cecile has been doing this for so long, so I thought it was so important that she gets recognized for all the hard work that she does every single day. And, you know, as someone who we rely on the community support for our business, I think it's our responsibility to support the community in return. So I think it's just, I was really impressed. I was very excited.
And I think this was our biggest surprise squad to date, just on the numbers. Let's take a look back.
This is Sister Cecilia Heyer and Mrs. Karen Shea, the principal and assistant principal of the St. Stanislaus School in Chicopee. They have no idea that we've got a big surprise in store for them.
32 years. We started as a 7th grade teaching team. We were hired the same year.
Is this this year yet?
Yes, I think so.
The most challenging, to say the least, the most challenging.
The duo are in charge of 283 K through 8th graders, the majority of which have been in person for class since the start of the school year.
And the first thing they said is they were so glad to be back in a classroom with their friends.
We have not had to shut down, and we've had no internal spread in this building. So, I mean, it's amazing to me when I think about that.
The two say their staff are answering the call amid this pandemic. As we delayed inside, the rest of the squad set up the surprise outside. The Hyundai dealers of Western Mass signed the check. Students flooded the parking lot, holding signs of appreciation for the matriarchs of the school. Come on out. A lot of people want to talk to you, too.
I'm going to say this side will
There's more supplies. Oh my God, they got all the kids.
Everybody knew what was going on except for you.
Except for us, yeah.
We have a $500 gift card so you can have a catered lunch for you guys.
Oh my God,
wow, right?
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Congratulations on behalf of the Western Mass Hyundai dealers. We really appreciate all that you've been through and all that you do every single day.
But that's not all. We also picked up some cleaning supplies and gift baskets for staff who went above and beyond.
I think we got a cheer. They deserve it. They're amazing. They're the glue that keeps everything together.
What jumps to mind when you think of her?
Safety and love.
Thank you, everyone. You are amazing. Thank you so much for doing all of this. Oh my God.
See, this is our family.
I know.
In Chicopee, we're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
And that was a really fun surprise squad. Those kids were so excited. Gary, your thoughts looking back on this now?
Well, I'm excited because the children are our future, and a lot of times the educators don't get the recognition that they deserve. And this school in particular did not close one day during the pandemic. They didn't have one case of COVID, and they just did what they were supposed to do, and it turned out really well. So I think it was our pleasure to recognize her and her school and the mom squad as well that really stood. Yeah, they were awesome. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a fun day for sure. So when we come back, we have one last moment to remember the story and what the series means to everyone involved when we come back. Welcome back to Surprise Squad Moments to Remember. We're joined by the Western Mass Hyundai dealers as we reflect on some of the big Surprise Squad stories we had over the past year. And we actually have one more story to show you today. We paid a visit to a local high school where an athletic trainer went above and beyond during the early part of the state's COVID vaccine rollout.
Ashley Morale, a mother of two, is the athletic trainer at Ludlow High School. This year was unlike any other she experienced during her 10 years on the job.
It's been crazy, to say the least, but we have made it through.
But even with a hectic year at work, Ashley stayed busy outside of work. A family friend reached out to our Surprise Squad with her story.
What she did with this pandemic and the amount of people she helped. She'd get up at night with a baby, settle the baby. Rather than go back to sleep, she was booking appointments for people.
Booking 160 vaccine appointments for family, friends, and even people she didn't know. We wanted to show our appreciation and say thank you.
They probably get a lot of surprises in football, right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Have you ever gotten any surprises?
We got a good one for you.
Oh my God.
And we got word from your family friend that she's been making vaccine appointments for a whole lot of people in their time. So obviously you recognize some of these faces.
Yes.
With the Hyundai dealers of Western Mass right here as well.
On behalf of the Western Mass Hyundai dealers, we want to just recognize you for the selfless act that you've done. We've heard so much about it.
The Hyundai dealers presented Ashley with a $500 check. The Surprise Squad also got her a gift card to Face to Nails Day Spa and tickets to local museums to enjoy with her family.
A lot of people that were getting these vaccination shots were older, elderly people who didn't have the tools to sign up.
People wanted help. I didn't mind helping people book them.
We're just happy to be here and be a part of celebrating her and everything she's done.
On behalf of the Hyundai dealers of Western Massachusetts, we're the Western Mass News Surprise Squad.
Well, another great story to end out our show. And before we leave, let's bring in our Western Mass Hyundai dealers one last time. Carla, Brian, and Gary, your final thoughts before we sign off on just this year of Surprise Squad.
We'd just like to thank the Western Mass News for pairing up with the Western Mass Hyundai dealers and giving us a great opportunity to meet some fantastic people in the community.
Yeah, I'm just really grateful to be part of the Western Mass Surprise Squad and to be able to give back and recognize the people in our community who are making such an impact and a difference where we live.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that it's our responsibility to give back to the community and recognize those people. I'm so proud to be a part of this, and hopefully what we've done will be kind of a power of example for others, so they'll follow in our footsteps.
Absolutely. Just a small example of so many people in our community making a difference. That will do it for our Surprise Squad Moments to Remember. A big thank you to Gary Rome, Carla Casenzi, and Brian Hauser from the Western Mass Hyundai dealers. Have a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year.